It always starts the same way, with whispers, rumors, and quiet conversations behind closed doors. But when Tasha K steps into the room, the whispers don't stay whispers for long. They turn into explosions, truth bombs that can't be ignored, and receipts that shake people's image of a celebrity right down to the core. And this time, her spotlight landed directly on Martell Holt and Arionne Curry. The man who once sold himself as the perfect husband, perfect father, perfect businessman, and the woman who became his infamous side chick turned almost girlfriend. What Tasha K revealed wasn't just messy. It was wild, dramatic, and emotional. It ripped apart the carefully built affaire Martell had tried so hard to hold onto, while also pulling Arionne right into the fire. The lies, the betrayals, the delusions, it was all laid out for the world to see. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. But here's the twist: this wasn't just about cheating. It wasn't just about love gone wrong. This was about obsession, manipulation, and the way two people locked in a toxic dance can drag everyone around them into their chaos. By the time Tasha dropped her revelations, fans weren't just shocked, they were speechless. Because the real story of Martell Holt and Arionne Curry is darker, sadder, and way more twisted than anyone thought. So let's break it all down. Before the headlines, before the chaos, Martell Holt was living the picture-perfect dream, or at least, that's what it looked like. On Love and Marriage, Huntsville, he was introduced as a handsome entrepreneur, a family man with a beautiful wife, Melody Sherry, and their children. Together, they were supposed to be the power couple, the example of black excellence in Huntsville, Alabama. People looked at them and thought, wow, they've got it all. But here's the thing about perfect pictures: they usually hide cracks. Behind the smiles and the public appearances, Martell had already started living a double life. And at the center of that double life was a woman named Arionne Curry. She wasn't on TV. She wasn't part of the polished image. She was in the shadows, quiet but present. For years, she stayed there, hidden from the cameras, hidden from most of the public, but never hidden from Melody. Because Melody knew. The world saw her heartbreak unfold on screen. The tears, the arguments, the endless back and forth. Melody wanted to save her marriage, but Martell wanted to save his ego. And that ego had no room for accountability. When he was caught, he denied. When he was cornered, he deflected. And when Melody finally walked away, he tried to drag her reputation down with him. Meanwhile, Arionne believed she was more than the other woman. She believed Martell's promises. The promises that he would leave Melody. That she would finally get the recognition. That one day, she wouldn't be the shadow, she would be the main event. But that day never came. Instead, what came were years of chaos, embarrassment, and broken trust. And this is where Tasha K entered the picture. Tasha has never been the type to sugarcoat. When she gets information, she drops it raw, unfiltered, and with enough energy to set the internet on fire. And when she started revealing what was really going on between Martell and Arionne, people were floored. She pulled back the curtain on Martell's obsession with control. She explained how he juggled Melody and Arionne, not because he was in love with either of them, but because he couldn't stand losing power. He wanted both women to orbit around him, one as the wife who made him look respectable, and the other as the woman who stroked his ego in private. And Arionne? She was convinced she was winning. She went live on Instagram, she spoke out, she taunted Melody, all while claiming Martell was hers. But every time she said that, people reminded her, if he really wanted you, why hasn't he claimed you? Why hasn't he married you? Why hasn't he shown you the respect you keep begging for? What nobody expected was that Tasha K would reveal just how messy it really was. Here's the madness. Martell didn't just cheat, he built a whole second life. He had a child with Arionne, a baby that tied them together forever. But instead of stepping up, he used that child as a pawn, another tool in his endless game of manipulation. He dangled hope in front of Arionne, telling her she was special, that she was the one, then turned around and tried to crawl back into Melody's life whenever it suited him. And Arionne played her part. She stayed. She argued with strangers online. She tried to convince anyone who would listen that she wasn't the villain. That she was the victim. that she was the real love of Martell's life. But here's the thing: victims don't brag about breaking up marriages. Victims don't mock the wife while still crying for the man who refuses to claim them. Victims don't help cover up lies that destroy families. And Tasha K made that clear. She showed how Arionne wasn't just a bystander, she was an active player in Martell's madness. She exposed how Arionne knew about Melody, knew about the family, and still chose to stay in the shadows, waiting for scraps of affection from a man who never intended to give her the full meal. It wasn't love. It was addiction. And like most addictions, it destroyed everything in its path. Think about what this did to Melody. She wasn't just a wife dealing with infidelity. She was a mother, forced to raise her kids while the father of those kids publicly embarrassed her. She had to endure the humiliation of seeing Arionne mock her online, seeing Martell parade around like nothing was wrong, and still put on a brave face for her children. And the worst part? People blamed her. Some fans actually had the nerve to say, maybe she wasn't giving him enough attention, or maybe she should have fought harder to keep him. That's the dangerous thinking Tasha K pointed out. The idea that a woman should carry the blame for a man's inability to stay loyal. Martell played into that narrative too. He painted himself as the victim, claimed Melody was dramatic, claimed she was bitter. But every time he spoke, his actions betrayed him. Because while he was denying, while he was mocking, while he was posting selfies to pretend like life was good, Melody was showing receipts. Police reports. Documents. Facts that Martell couldn't spin his way out of. And then there was Arionne, standing in the chaos, yelling, posting, going live, desperate for validation. She wanted so badly to be seen as the chosen one, but all she really became was another casualty of Martell's ego. This whole story, the marriage, the affair, the drama, shows just how far pride and control can go. Martell thought he could play both sides forever. He thought he could have Melody's respect and Arionne's devotion at the same time. He thought he could cheat, lie, and manipulate without consequences. But Tasha K's revelations stripped away that illusion. They showed the world that Martell wasn't just a flawed man. He was reckless, selfish, and destructive. And Arionne? She wasn't the winner she imagined herself to be. She wasn't the upgrade. She wasn't the queen waiting in the wings. She was another woman caught in Martell's storm, and by the time she realized it, the damage was already done. The internet dragged her. Fans mocked her. And the more she fought back, the worse it looked. Because the truth is, you can't fight for respect when you've been complicit in your own disrespect. The emotional impact of this saga runs deep. For Melody, it was about survival. She had to rebuild her life from scratch, protect her children, and find her strength after years of betrayal. And she did. She turned her pain into power, focusing on her businesses, her music, and her healing. Her silence, her calmness, her refusal to stoop to Martell and Arionne's level that spoke louder than any Instagram rant ever could. For Martell, it was about losing control. The charm that once worked stopped working. The excuses stopped landing. The mask slipped, and people saw him for who he really was. Not the perfect family man. Not the business genius. Just a man who couldn't keep his ego in check, and lost everything because of it. And for Arionne, it was about facing reality. No matter how many lives she went on, no matter how many times she called Melody names, no matter how many times she claimed Martell, he never claimed her back. She was left with a child to raise, a reputation in ruins, and a truth she couldn't escape. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about Martell Holt or Arionne Curry. It's about patterns. It's about what happens when pride, obsession, and ego go unchecked. It's about how two people can feed each other's delusions until the whole thing explodes. Tasha K revealed it all: the lies, the manipulation, the madness. And what she left us with was a mirror. A mirror showing how easy it is to get caught up in toxic love. How easy it is to lose yourself chasing someone who will never give you what you deserve. Martell thought he was untouchable. Arionne thought she was winning. But in the end, both of them lost. And Melody? She walked away with her dignity. She chose peace. She chose healing. And that's the biggest win of all. Because when the lies fall apart, when the truth comes out, when the chaos finally settles, the only thing left standing is the person who refuses to let the madness define them. And that's why this story matters.